So we're going to kick this off. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Live Nation Urban Presents Meet the Execs. This is episode 2 of Meet the Execs. It's a special series that we're running during Black Music Month. We wanted to highlight people who are doing great things in the music industry. Despite everything that's going on in the world, we want to highlight those that are doing positive things for Black people. So I'm excited about this episode. We're actually going to have two guests, two people who I absolutely admire in the music industry. One is Juliette Jones. The other is Marsha St. Hubert, who we're going to start off with. Both are part of Atlantic Records. And I see that Marsha is on, so I'm going to add her right now. I'm thankful for everyone to be on with us. It should be a really special episode today, so hold on one sec. I know that's right. Sitting outside. What's up?
Yeah, summer Fridays. Why not, right?
Why not? Ladies and gentlemen, I have the esteemed pleasure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, you're going in and out. You're a little choppy. Before we get started, I don't want anyone to miss anything you're saying.
You want to hold? Let me find a better location.
Okay.
You're gonna.
Okay.
Go into you, Brandon. Hold on 1 second. Hold it.
Yep. While we're waiting for Marsha, we're going to execs the entire Black youth. This week we're doing every week another iconic label, another executive that we're speaking to, really highlighting what these labels are doing for Black music, and excited, man. So thank you everyone for being Marsha to find a better location out, because I don't want anyone missing any.
Does that sound better?
I mean, it sounds a lot better. You look a little choppy, but I can hear you, and that's all that matters. And you look great. Welcome.
Thank God, I look choppy. I look choppy.
No, you good. Here we go.
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my esteemed pleasure to introduce the Senior Vice President and Head of Marketing for Atlantic Records, Ms. Marsha St. Hubert. Marsha, how are you today?
I'm great, Brandon. How are you, brother?
I'm wonderful. I'm so happy that you made time for us today. I know you're busy. I know you.
Okay. I'm always make time for you. Come on.
Can we record that? I want to make sure everyone heard that. So,
I'll give you your own personal drop later. Don't worry.
So let's start this off. And I think it's very important with all of our guests really talking about your journey to get to the position that you're in, because it's such a powerful position in the music industry, particularly because you're a Black woman. So I want to get to how you started and really your journey into how you became the SVP and Head of Marketing at one of the most powerful labels in the world.
Listen, I started the way that a lot of people start. I was an intern. I applied for an internship many, many years ago on this website called monster.com. And it was an internship at Universal Music Group. And the internship happened to be for this guy named Leor Cohen, who I never heard of. Because I didn't grow up trying I want to be in the music business. No, I'm first generation Haitian, raised in Flatbush. You become a nurse or a social worker, things that they can understand. And then so I took this job and I was working for free for this man that I didn't know at this label called Def Jam. And I interned for Leor for like a year. And my mom was just like, I didn't come to this country to be working for free for white people. And I was like, well, Mommy, I really like it. And she was like, what?
Right.
But that internship, I wrote it out. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. But I figured out how to get to work every day, did my internship. And then when he went over to Warner Music Group, he said, I want you to come with me to Warner's. And I was like, okay.
Right.
And we went over there. And then I worked at corporate with him for a while. And as some of you know, Warner is the parent company of Atlantic. And at the time, Craig Kalman, who's now currently the chairman, was looking for an assistant. And Julie, who's the co-chairman, came over and she was just like, you should go work for Craig. And I was like, I don't know. Right. But I took the job working for Craig, and working for him afforded me the experience to learn the A&R business in and out. Because while Craig is the chairman, He's also one of the most foremost A&R men in this business in multiple genres. So when I got over there, he sold 10 million albums on Sean Paul. He had done, being from Flatbush, he had done a deal with VP Records with the Chin Brothers.
Right.
He did the Junior Mafia deal. He had signed Garnet Silk and Dawn Penn, and I was just like, yo, this white Jewish man is incredible. This how do you even know these people? And then he taught me so much about making records and A&R, and just his ear was incredible. And then I went over into marketing because Julie said, you're a marketing person. And I was just like, no, I'm not. She was like, kind of are. And then I took the leap into marketing. I didn't know anything. I was like, I'm just going to try it. And at the time, I was the type of marketer who all I cared about was like really dope pictures.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first artists that I worked with was Mano. And I remember all I wanted to do was get that big, when you're driving across, when coming down Flatbush Avenue and you're heading towards the bridge in Brooklyn, there's this big ass billboard, like above Juniors on decal.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh man, I just want to get that billboard. Got the budget approved or whatever. And at the time, my co-head, Deani, was already had been in marketing. I was like, yo, Deani, look, I'm going to put this on a billboard. It's going to be amazing. She was like, that's a great photo. I was like, you don't think it's great? She was like, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say when the album's coming out. What's the album called? I was like, oh, I guess I should add words. I was like, okay. So I'm still not a woman of many words when it comes to my marketing, but yeah, I just wrote it out, and I worked with, Mano was my very first.
Mm-hmm.
I had DJ Drama's album.
Mm-hmm.
That was when Drama was like not this older guy. He was like a real thing back then. I had Big Country King. And then like my first really, really big artist, like Mano gave me my first number one plaque, my first platinum plaque. But then I got with Wiz Khalifa. And at the time, no one was doing what Wiz was doing. Young black kid from Pittsburgh, touring, doing 1,200 seaters. He lived on this thing called Twitter. Like he could make people do all kinds of shit off of Twitter. He would film himself every day and put out these things called vlogs. And he was just like, oh, just follow my lead. Like, just trust me. Like, this is what the kids are doing. I was like, I guess. He would put it on YouTube. And next thing you know, the tours kept going and going. Then he drops this record called Black and Yellow. And that's all she wrote. And then now we're looking at the business, literally doing everything he was doing independently. I went to Epic for 2 years, which was a short but important stint in my career because I had to learn something different. You know what? Eric, I definitely did work with Lupe. I did the Lasers album with Lupe.
Okay.
As much as Lupe beefs about Atlantic Records, you could ask Lupe Fiasco. He don't got no problems with me. So I'm straight. But Lasers was amazing with Lupe. So that was super dope. Went to Epic over there. I worked with Tamar Braxton. We went to #1. That was my first female artist I had to really work with that we got a #1 with. And then I came back to Atlantic. And then from there, it was Gucci when he first came out of jail, Kodak in between one of his jail stints, Cardi, Meek, Jill Scott.
Shout out.
To the family. Yeah, just a bunch of people. So, and then here we are now. It's literally took work, sweat, grinding, tons of mistakes, asking a lot of questions, because nothing is given to you in this business, especially as a Black woman. No one's going to come to you and be like, hey, you think you're ready for that next step? No, you have to go in there and say, hey, so this is what I've done. This is what I've accomplished. This is what I want to do next. So how can we get there? And then I'm fortunate enough to be at a company that recognizes my abilities, my gifts, my talents. So every time there's an opportunity for me to move up, we grow together, and now I'm here.
Well, a couple of things. It's been a big week for Black women in this music industry.
It has.
I don't know if you want to share number or not.
Listen, shout outs to both Jamila Thomas and Brianna Adjaman. Those are my babies. You're gonna make me cry. I'm so proud of those women. Like, they're both in the Atlanta. Well, Brianna used to be with us, but just to watch those young women grow and flourish, not only as people, but as like young executives in the business, it just makes me proud and really makes me feel like hopeful for where we can go in the future, because if Jamila and Bree are the stepping stone and they inspire anybody else, even one person, to do more than they're doing today, then it would have all been worth it.
Absolutely. I want to go back to something you said early on, right? I experienced, and I'm just curious for those that are listening that may be in college right now or just getting their career started. You said that your mother expected you to have a different profession, something where it's
A real job.
a little bit more stable, something that you're comfortable with. I went through that. I know my mom is on this live, so I don't
Yeah.
want to get her out. But I remember when people closest to me were like, why are you in the music industry?
Mm-hmm.
This is a hobby. You need to go and, be a doctor or be a lawyer, etc. What made you persevere and say, you know what? This is my passion. I want to keep doing this because this is what I love, versus saying, you know what? Let me find something a little bit more stable, something that I may not love, but I know that I can have a steady career in life.
Well, I'm not one of those people who grew up feeling like I want to work in the music business. I came into this thing, and when I got there, I realized that I wasn't doing what I do now. So I didn't consider myself a creative, but I was just working. I was working for the chairman of the #1 Black label in the business.
Mhm.
And I worked really hard, and I liked the fact that this is the type of business where when you work hard, you can see the results of your work. And at first, I just wanted to continue to do things that I can see. I didn't realize that that meant that you're a creative person. Like, some people could just work and never see where their work goes. That's one of the many joys of doing what I do and the way that I do it. I love seeing my work visually. I love other people seeing it. I love that interaction with people. And when I realize that I'm really good with certain kinds of people, because everybody can't talk to artists.
Right.
That's not for everybody. The wrong conversation with an artist can turn the whole shit into a shit show.
Yep.
When I realized my ability to do that, to talk to creatives, it was just like, I was young. And when you're young, you don't listen to your parents anyway. So I had the freedom of ignorance. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. I didn't care about, oh, I have to pay bills. I don't care if my cell phone gets cut off.
Yeah.
I just want to go to work every day.
Right.
So it was like, just the ignorance, the bliss of youth, you know what I mean, was what it is. Because I don't know, if I was older and I had many responsibilities, if I would have taken the chances that I took with, at the time, my life. It wasn't even a career. It was like my life. Like, the decisions the decisions I was making then would change my life forever. But as a young person, listen, you're not always going to make your parents happy. You're not always going to be, in a situation that is going to make them feel like all the work they did was worth it. But sometimes, you have to, as they would say, let go and let God. And here we are.
So what does your current position entail? You're SVP, you're head of marketing. Can you walk me through a day, or is every day different? I know,
I mean,
but
the day, it's the same thing, right? Not you, Ashley. To a certain extent, it's the same. It's kind of the same thing. Finding new and innovative ways to break talent, period, right? What that looks like is what changes. And for a long time, as a marketing person, I would spend my days figuring out how to find the best and the brightest in my artists, whether it was Gucci Mane or Kodak or Cardi or NYCL Kai or Meek or whatever. And while that is still a part of my job, the most important part as a head of marketing is finding that talent in my young executives. Like, it's great and all to be able to build stars who are on camera, but to build young Black stars in the business, and I'm not even gonna say young Black stars, because I work with a lot of people in the business who aren't Black, who are young, who are the same age as me. So the goal is bigger than just, making artists into stars. It's about making young people into stars, young executives, young creatives, young A&Rs, young marketing people, young booking agents, young directors, young stylists, young photographers. Like, the ability to recognize that kind of talent, that's what's been my focus recently. So over the last few years, Like literally the other day I was sitting there and I was like, yo, I'm so proud of where Flo and Gala is, because Flo was roller skating on the set of All the Way Up and just happened to take a few photos on set that day. She had her camera, and my son's father, my fiance, was the producer. She sent him the photos, and he was like, hey, look, this photographer girl sent me some pictures. And I was like, oh, this is super dope. And I called her. I said, hey, can you take some pictures? And I think the first thing she shot was BTS. Hi, Flo. Was BTS of Cardi at Kimmel in Brooklyn, I think. But it was like, she didn't say, hey, I'm a photographer. She was very like, I like to take pictures and da 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 da. But now she's like, I didn't make her to a star. She was already talented and amazing. And now she's one of the young premier Black female photographers. Black and female just happen to be part of the conversation. She's just an amazing photographer. So being able to do things like that is what I really want to be doing right now with my career. And I'm glad that, you know, the young people trust me and they return my calls and, you know, they answer the DMs, you know, like the other day, you know, Yasha's not a young director, but Yasha's been directing for a long time. We called him and we're like, yo, and Yasha's not a young Black kid, but he's just dope. And we were like, we need a lyric video for Uzi. And he gave us this What's Up lyric video. Killed that shit.
Yeah.
Just young talent and giving them an opportunity is my favorite.
Intentional choice that you made. Is that something that other executives need to do? Be more intentional with it, or do they kind of just fall in your lap asking you because of who you are in the industry? Can you help?
Say that one more time, Brandon.
Is that an intentional choice that you make? Like, I'm going to help all of these individuals. Is that something other executives need to start doing? Or
I think it is. You have to make it your business. It is very easy to sit inside of that office and get stale and old. And it's like you have to drink from that fountain of youth on a regular basis. Like, I am inspired by young people. Anybody who knows me, you come to my office, like Julie and Kaz would be like, so who's this today in your office? Right. And I'm like, oh, this is that person. This is that person. I take tons of meetings. I have tons of conversations. And this is not about, oh, hey, let me give you this opportunity so that I can eat off of you. That's not what this is about for me. It's about really giving people a shot. Somebody gave me a shot. Mm-hmm. So, and everyone may not win. Some people are not prepared. Some people will not live up to the opportunity. But so what? So fucking what?
Give them a chance.
Like, you gave them a shot. And maybe they weren't prepared the first time. They might need a little bit more time and say, hey, I'm ready now. Sure, I'll give it to you again. You know what I mean? Like, what is your legacy going to be in this business? You're going to sit here and just, you know, continue to do the same shit that everybody else has been doing? No, I want to give people opportunities to feed their families, to change their lives, to go home to their mother and say, look, Ma, look what I did. Right. Even though you didn't think it was something. It's hard for Black kids to be creative. It's hard for their parents to understand that knowing how to draw can change your life. Knowing how to sing can change your life. Knowing how to edit, making little YouTube videos, animation, you know, art, painting, all of that, all of the creative arts are really important. And we, as the people who are already in this thing, it is our duty and our responsibility to continue to look for those kids and give them shots. Because if we don't, who will? Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so, you know, with that, what are recommendations you can make to the young artists, to the young stylists, you know, to the individuals that want to be in this industry? How do they reach someone like you? I know you want to offer the help, but what are the steps?
First of all, be creative and put your shit out for people to see and take your page off private. Let's start with take your page off private. Okay. Like, I don't know how you expect me to find you when I can't see your page, right? I don't need a website. I don't need a resume, a CV, all of that shit that they tell you need in school. You really don't need it. What you need is a really good Instagram page, period. Make it good, make it thoughtful, and make it a reflection of your work. Yeah. I don't want to see what you're eating. I don't want to talk about, you know, the shoes you wore today, unless that is a part of what you're trying to do.
Yep.
If you're telling me you're a photographer, them photos better be busting on that page. If you're telling me you're a videographer, I want to see video clips. I want to see edits. They don't have to be long. This is not about budgets. Budgets cannot buy creativity. I've shot videos for $10,000 that have been better than $100,000 videos. So it's not about the money. It's about your ability to see and create shit. When I first met Njora Francis, I didn't know her as a videographer. She was a photographer. But on her page, she had these like short, what she used to call fashion videos. These short fashion videos that were like a minute, maybe 2 minutes on her page. I was like, oh, these are kind of dope. These are kind of dope. And then, because she had already shot Cardi for the cover of Invasion of Privacy. And I was like, this girl don't got no real video experience. But I think like, I just like her eye. I like her eye. And we're shooting Be Careful. And it was like, my heart was beating. I was like, who's gonna shoot this video? We came off of fucking Bartier Cardi with Petra Collins.
Right.
If you don't know Petra Collins, Petra's like, she's young, but she was shooting for Gucci and all this other stuff. Fucking Jora had like some photos with like Fashion Nova and some other stuff, and she didn't have a lot of followers, no real history. But I was like, all right, if you could write something, we'll show it to her. And she said, I like it. And then we shot it, and then that's all she wrote. Now she's shooting for Rosalia and Jennifer Lopez. But don't get me wrong, I was like, my heart, I was like, if I fuck this up, I'm gonna look crazy. But we took a shot and kept it pushing. But it was because of her Instagram page. Her Instagram page showed her talent. Like, you go to Lone Wolf's page, it shows his talent. This young girl in Brooklyn, her first name is Annie. I fucking hate that I'm forgetting her last name right now. It's Annie something, a young black girl. And I saw a clip on her Instagram page the other day. And I hit her like, yo, could you do blah, blah, blah for blah, blah, blah? And I'm just waiting for her to deliver this thing on a premiere artist. And she was just like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I'm just like, sis, no, thank you. I don't have the gift that you have. Annie Bursey. Thank you, Flo. So I'm excited to work with her. I love her work. I can't wait to see what she does. Like, her photography is amazing. Her editing is amazing. So I'm excited to see what she does. Again, because of her Instagram page.
Dope. That's dope. And so can you tell us, if you can't, no worries, any projects you're excited about that you're working on that are going to be released this year?
Well, okay, so there's a couple. So I have my own projects, right, where I have a roster that I am personally responsible for, right? I'm super excited to see what Meek Mill brings to the world when he comes, whenever he comes. I mean, if we don't get this next Cardi album out this year, I'm gonna shoot somebody. So that's exciting. But we have, like, there are other projects on the label that I'm just excited about. Like, I'm super excited about Jack Harlow. He's worked and he's grinded and he's pushing. We have a young female rapper from Memphis named Juicy Fruit. Fire. Like, that girl can rap her ass off. I love Mahalia. She's out of the UK. Simba's from the Bay. He's amazing. I mean, there's so much dope shit. And I feel like I'm forgetting people. The last Kehlani project was so dope. I was so excited to have that during this quarantine. We have such a like diverse roster that allows us to feed different parts of our personality all the time. So like, I'm excited for all of it, for real. I really am. But those are just to name a few.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Got you. Well, Marsha, you have provided many gems in this short amount of time.
Thanks, Brandon.
You know, I've always respected you, always loved you before the Live Nation Urban and all of that.
Right.
I appreciate you, and thank you for making time for us today.
Thank you. We love you. Appreciate you guys for creating a space and a platform. You guys have always, 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 and by you guys, I mean you, Heather, Sean G, y'all been about it before Live Nation Urban.
Yes.
Why does it have to be urban? That's another day. But I think that, the business of live music for Black musicians was needed, there's a huge gaping hole in that space of, because it was just like a lot of people didn't understand how to tour our talent, how to take them on the road, how to put them in small rooms. Well, they don't want to go unless, it's really easy to fucking tour Big Sean.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy.
Yeah.
The easy. Oh, I have tons of offers for Kanye West, obviously.
Right.
But we're talking about you guys are doing the work to help these artists learn the importance of touring early on, so that no matter what happens, they'll have that in their career. So for that,
between being an artist that tours and being a touring artist.
Touring
career from clubs and theaters to that amphitheater and arena level.
People wonder why people like Erica and Jill put out an album when they fucking feel like it, because they can tour wherever they want and be like, I'm put up this tour real quick, blow this out, and sit back down and raise their kids.
Yep.
That opportunity was missing for a lot of our artists. So for that, we owe you and we thank you guys for that.
Thank you for that. And thank you again, Marsha.
Of course.
Juliette, if you're on, if you could just type and say I'm here.
Bye, Jules. If she's there, tell her I say hey.
I sure will. Thank you, Marsha.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye, Brandon.
That was an incredible first interview that we've had on Meet the Execs today. Coming up next is Juliette Jones. Juliette, if you are on, you can send me a text. I won't open it, just something to let me know that you're on so I can, and she's here. So I'm going to get her right now. She added on. Let's try it again. Right now. Hello.
Hi, Brandon.
How are you?
Of course I was on. I always learn from Marsha. She's the GOAT. I needed to listen to her too.
Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Miss Juliette Jones, really for me, along with Marsha, a mentor, a friend, someone that I've known for years before Live Nation Urban. She is the executive vice president of urban promotion at Atlantic Records, someone that everyone should know. Juliette, thank you for making time for us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Brandon.
Absolutely. So if you can, and this is what we do with all of our guests to start off, just really talk about your journey, where you came from to get to the ranking position, that you're the high ranking position.
I've been doing this a really long time. So where do I start?
From the beginning. We got time today. We got time.
Okay.
From the beginning.
So, I started interning years ago. I went to school at University of Maryland. I had a job and I met someone there. And that's how I got introduced to the music business. Interned for quite a few years. And my friend from school, she went to Howard. Her godfather was Percy Sutton, who owned Inner City Broadcasting. So I moved to New York to intern for free. Not a great plan, but interned at WBLS in New York, which was a big station. From there, I got my first promotion job at Jive Records. Moved back to DC to be the Mid-Atlantic regional of Jive Records. And I am originally from Evanston, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. So Juliette from Jive, when R. Kelly was so big at the time that they used to write in the newspaper that Jive was Chicago based. It never was, but it was about him. So it was a very exciting opportunity that my first job was, our premier artist was from my hometown. It was pretty exciting at that time. Stayed there for several years. Got promoted a couple times, moved to Atlanta with them, was the Southeast Regional, then moved to New York and was a national. Left there, worked at Hits Magazine. I was the urban editor for a couple of years, and then left Hits Magazine to move. That was in Los Angeles. I was LA based. Moved to New York to be the VP of promotion at Virgin Records, and stayed with Virgin, which became Capitol. I stayed. They changed.
Yeah.
And my opportunity there, an amazing executive, one of the greatest actually bosses I've ever had was Ronnie Johnson came to the company as president of Black Music, and he gave me an opportunity to run promotion for the first time. So I got my first head of promotion job at Capitol. It was amazing. Good run with Ronnie, and then unfortunately Ronnie passed away, and so I ended up leaving the company. And fast forward to today, I've been with Warner Music Group since 2011. I started at Warner Brothers. Mm-hmm. And how I met you, my very first day at Warner Brothers Records as the head of promotion, we impacted Jill Scott.
Yeah.
It was definitely a learning curve for us all, but it ended up having a great result. What an incredibly powerful and inspirational artist and person and human to start my new job with. And I joke with her and say we were freshmen together, and I think it had a profound impact on the trajectory of what happened next. Starting out with that unbelievable energy, and longest running number one for her 17 weeks, also record holder at Urban Adult. And I moved to Atlantic at the end of 2012 after tremendous success with Jill, and we built the MMG brand there, and we all moved over to Atlantic. So I've been with Atlantic as the EVP of promotion since then.
So let me ask, and this is for those that may, just starting in the music industry or not in the music industry. When we had Marsha on, she's head of marketing. When I hear the word promotion, I'm promoting an album, or is that marketing? What exactly does urban promotion mean?
So urban promotion is our main job, as I like to say, a little tongue in cheek, is 1 through 10 priorities to get records on the radio. We do everything to support that. So when people call in, be the 10th caller and win tickets to see Meek Mill, we set that up with radio. When you hear Meek Mill talking on The Breakfast Club, when he has a new album, we schedule that. Any promotions that surround artists facing things on radio, we kind of interface with all things radio. Even working closely with your team at Live Nation, when you guys have tours on the road, we chime in and help with radio partners and contesting to help promote those tours for our artists. And I also have a rhythm team, even though I'm the head of urban. So that's the same thing, but at the rhythm format.
So let me ask, we're in an age of streaming. We're in an age of digital. Why is radio still so important?
Radio is still so important because radio does impact the bottom line with the streaming, and radio, the greatest, indicator of a big hit record is a hit on the radio. If you want to be a star, you can have a great career, and it's no disrespect whatsoever to all of the incredible artists that aren't necessarily radio artists, and they do great work. And a lot of them are very successful, but with radio, if you want to be an artist that's a big star and end up on television, mm-hmm. we're a stepping stone. And prior to streaming, radio used to be the first line of attack. Mm-hmm. We were the first guys out the door. Now we've kind of shifted in where we happen in the process. Okay. But for instance, Little Uzi is a great example. Uzi streams through the roof. He's an incredible artist. He's very meaningful in that model of business. But Uzi, when we have a radio record, even though, say, he's streaming 18 million times a week, that's fantastic. Everyone would love to have that. Right. We've had Uzi records that were streaming 18 million times a week. When we got it as a radio hit, it was up to 30.
Got it. And so where does it fall in the process? Now, you said it changed in the process. Radio used to be first, then it's streaming. Is it you have to go stream first now and then along the chain find radio?
Well, usually because streaming is got way more bandwidth, right?
Yep.
My mainstream stations play 20 records, 25 current records at a time. Mm-hmm. Spotify can play 100,000 current records at a time if they want to. It's just unlimited. And so now everything kind of starts as streaming because it was a replacement for us originally as sales. It's not a replacement for promotion. It's where people used to go out and buy a single. Now they stream. Right. And so everything kind of is released to that. And then depending on the artist and where they are in their career trajectory and a lot of other information about where their career is in the marketplace, we assess, when is the right time to go to radio. And there's a lot of things that go into that. And some records, again, are fantastic that aren't for the radio.
Right.
right? So we are much more down the line. There's a lot of online marketing that happens, a lot of digital stuff, a lot of um, working obviously with the streamers and letting the streaming numbers get up, as well as building the profile of the artist, and sometimes even shows. And depending on the profile of the artist, that's how we assess when it's ready to go to radio.
And what I found, particularly in hip hop and in R&B, radio shows are still super important when it comes to artists being discovered and
Yeah.
actually who that artist is. How do you interact with promoters when it's time for radio shows? I call it radio show season from about September, October through January, pre-COVID. It was, my artist on a radio show.
Yeah.
It's still significant on that end, correct?
It is really significant, right? I mean, there's certain markets where it's much more meaningful than others, right? I mean, we know New York has big radio shows. Philadelphia has big radio shows. Atlanta has big radio shows. And I think it's, you get to see so many of your favorite artists in one place for a reasonable amount of money. And because this is a one-time sort of curation of these lineups, you can, with the opportunity to chime in, obviously in Philadelphia, because I work with Meek and I work with Jill and I work with Uzi. Philly has been and remains the Power 99 powerhouse is a big thing for us. Mm-hmm. And, Meek has done that show. I think if I've been working with him, I don't know how many years it is, 9. Meek has done that show, I think 7 of the 9. And one year he was in jail, so he couldn't do it. And I think he called in on the screen. He still was there. And he also doing that has afforded the opportunity for some of our other artists. I mean, Cardi B went before she ever had a record and ever blew up and was the first person on the stage at 6 o'clock. And a year later, she was one of the headliners of the show. So really meaningful.
Well, let me ask, has the pandemic impacted how many people are listening to radio? Has it impacted what you do on a day-to-day basis at all? Or is it business as usual?
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, in general, it has impacted. It's really case by case. There's a couple of stations where they've seen a boost in listenership, which is fantastic for them. Most people in general, their business is down. I mean, a big driver for radio stations is the morning drive, but nobody's been going to work.
Right.
So, I don't know about everybody else, but I don't just randomly get up at 7 a.m. to stay home all day. They're probably getting up a little bit later, a little more leisurely. And my personal theory is seemingly, and you can tell from streaming numbers as far as television, but people are watching a lot more news, watching a lot more television now, and listening to the radio a little bit less. And I think some of that is indicative of just not being in their cars.
Right. So let me ask an overall question for you. I mean, you are one of the most powerful women in this industry of any race. Do you still find it any type of bias because you are a Black woman? Do you still have any difficulties even in the position that you're in? Because I think it's critical that we talk about that as well.
Yes. I mean, look, I think that we as a group of people and the way that urban music is done, and this is a great conversation that's happening right now in the business. I'm part of the urban department. I've always done urban promotion. As a Black person, I entered the door into the urban department. Mm-hmm. It never crossed my mind that I could work in pop and rhythm, and it just was sort of assumed and understood, right? That you're walking in here to be in the urban department. And so while I have had tremendous success, I'm still in the urban department, right? I'm still in the Black department, and no complaints. I'm happy and I love it, but I should be able with my work to grow beyond that. And specific to what my job is, this conversation that's happening right now has inspired all of the urban heads of promotion to talk a lot about the history of this, et cetera. And one thing that's fascinating is with probably some of the people that are on the call have 40 years of experience, maybe more. Mm-hmm. It was at a time very common for the head of urban promotion to report to the head of pop promotion, the white guy or woman. And I think it might have happened once or twice ever that the pop guys reported to the urban person.
Hmm.
And currently that does not exist anywhere. And there is, like I said, we're struggling to think of a second example, but we have one example because he was on the call to confirm that he actually did used to be the head of all promotion.
Yeah.
One guy in 40 something years collectively.
And do you ever take time to really discuss that outside of all the urban promotion heads, like to the heads of labels, like, look, this needs to change. Is this the time to actually talk about that change? Because look, if you can do it in urban or black music, you can do it across all music.
Correct.
Because, honestly, if we're going to,
Yeah.
all of the music is black music. So, is that a conversation that you've had or will have?
Absolutely. I mean, that's how I ended up with an urban team.
Yeah.
I mean, a rhythm team, saying like I can do more than just urban, right? The rhythm format plays the same music basically, and predominantly the employees of that format are not us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was pushing for more responsibility as I was growing in my career, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I really understand that when I take a record to radio, that's very possibly an artist who was a little kid sitting wherever they're from, listening to the radio, dreaming of being on the radio one day, dreaming of being on BT or whatever. I feel bad for, there was a generation of artists that dreamed of being on 106 in Park, and it kind of ended before they got to that level, right? But I understand that. And so I still am very passionate about what I do, and I think that it makes a difference in the result. And I have something to offer to whatever format that is. So it is a conversation that I've been having, that other people have been having, and that we need to continue to have. I think that it feels like in this moment that the listeners are more receptive.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any sort of advice that you would give, the next Juliette Jones, that's just entering the industry in this new, digital era? Is there anything you would say to her, how to move or pivot to really get to where you're at right now?
I mean, I definitely subscribe to the Nipsey Hussle theory of work in music business, and I believe I'm the same. I mean, I think I'm smart, and I think I'm talented. I think there's a lot of young women that are smart and talented, and probably smarter and more talented than I am. And it's just about staying in it. And I used to joke that promotion is a crazy choice, right? Because I take so much rejection and so much like no's and beg people to do what I want them to do. And if it works out, someone else is rich and famous at the end, not me, right? If it works, that after me getting the door slammed in my face for a couple of years over the artist, if it works out, they become rich and famous. But I'm so glad I interned for 5 years, which young people today think is insanity from my experience.
Mhm.
But that's why I'm here, right? I wanted to do this. My mother used to tell me every couple of months, it's not too late to go back to college, but it was my passion, and I wanted to do a job that I loved. And every time that I've been knocked down, I just dusted myself off and I kept going and I stayed at it. And I believe that, if this is your dream and you want to do this business and you are surrounded by people who have 7,000 reasons why you cannot do it, stop hanging around with them.
Right.
Get some new friends.
Yep. Yep. So let me do this. I want to correct myself, and I was looking at the comments and they're absolutely correct. There is no next Juliette Jones. So I apologize.
Well, thanks whoever said that.
No, but I wanted just to say, I mean, I don't know if you have any last words, but I just want to say thank you. Thank you for, being who you are in this industry, for being a mentor, being a friend, being someone that lets her work guide everything else. You are phenomenal. Marsha, who's our previous guest, is phenomenal. I'm just grateful that you were able to take time to speak to us today.
Thank you. I mean, I just want to say last words. Yes, Marsha's amazing. And, promotion is a team sport.
Yep.
And music is a team sport. And I think if you want to do music, people need to understand that, because there is this perception and it is a shiny job, and we deal with very exciting things and shiny things, but it's a team sport. And if you're not willing to participate on the team, you cannot perform in the way that you need to. And to have exemplary head of marketing in Marsha St. Hubert, there's no mystery why I also look so great, right? Because it's a layup. She does such a great job of setting it up, and she's not the only one. I mean, there's phenomenal marketers and digital marketers and creatives and art department, everyone who contributes to the process. I'm so fortunate and blessed to work with such incredible people, you know, and Marsha, there's a great team. She co-heads it with Deani, who does a great job as well. And we also have such great talent. And I just want to second a couple of the things that Marsha said.
Sure.
I super excited and love Mahalia. I hope she's going to do some interviews coming up soon. I hope everyone catches her because her dry English wit is a good time, and she's very candid and incredibly wise to be so young. Jack Harlow is something that I think our whole company is incredibly proud of. He's one of those artists that he's so nice and hardworking that everyone is happy that he's winning. Right. Everyone's happy for him, right? We've been waiting for this moment. And the fact that we're going to have a big hit for him in the middle of a global pandemic is that much more gratifying. We had Youngboy, NBA's first big radio hit during this pandemic, and he's been doing this for a long time. And he means so much to his audience and the shows that he does and the work that he does and his opportunity. And I do want to say in this moment that it's important that we also remember when we're doing these jobs, this is life-changing for him. From whence he comes and what this has given him access to, not just financially, but information and experiences, is life-changing for him and everyone in his family. And so I think when we talk about, you know, being keepers of the culture and why it's so important that we're involved, it's because that's the reality. We understand that all of those lyrics that they're talking about, that's their real life. Right. It's not just entertainment. He lived through those things, and he's not the only one. And, you know, I'm so excited about Gucci, and he personally inspires me with his transition, and he's always evolving. And, you know, none of us are perfect, but he's, you know, really doing great work and maintaining his place in the world. So I'm so thankful to work with such great artists. And we've got Pink Sweats, and I hope that you listen to Trey Songz How Many Times record about the riots, because it's fantastic and we need that content. So I just wanted to say that I feel passionately about a lot of that, and Marsha's right about Juicy Fruit as well. Amazing, amazing girl.
Absolutely. I think I just said, like, we executives have the ability to transform lives.
Yes.
And transform the narrative of some of our artists that are coming out and may have gone through struggles, but are here now wanting to do better, wanting to help and bring others with them. And I think that's important. It's something that we don't talk about enough internally and externally. So thank you, Juliette, for bringing that up.
And getting these opportunities as executives is life-changing. This was life-changing for me. I moved to New York to live for free, to sleep on my friend's couch in Harlem, because I wanted an opportunity. Yep. I had literally nothing to lose. And sometimes people that we're interacting with don't come from that same experience. And so I try to always be sensitive to, I know what it means to people. I really do. And I don't take that lightly, and I'm always going to do my best. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't make the records, right? But I do the best I can every time. And I just want to shout out my amazing team. I work with an amazing urban and promotion team and rhythm team. And, you know, they do such an incredible job, and all of them are deserving of continuing to grow in this business and get their recognition. And I hope they do. And I do everything I can to make sure that that happens. Again, couldn't do it without them. We're just a team sport.
One of the through lines between both interviews, passion and hard work. If you have the passion to do something, don't allow money to be your driving factor, because that will come as long as you love what you do and put your all into it. So
thank you, Colby. I see all your wisdom in the comments.
Well, thank you. Again, this is Juliette Jones, Executive Vice President of Urban Promotion for Atlantic Records. Thank you, Juliette, for being here. Greatly appreciate it. And I just want to say I am Brandon Pankey, Live Nation Urban. This has been another episode of Meet the Execs. Next week, we are focusing on Motown Records, and we are going to have another exciting guest, so I'm excited for that. Everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe. hold on and love your loved ones, and we'll be back next week. Thank you again, Juliette.
Thank you.
All right, take care.